The mission of Richland County government is to improve the quality of life of residents through essential services from emergency medical care to the maintenance of paved and dirt roads. In some parts of the county, sewer service is also provided. About 10,000 homes, businesses, and schools receive sewer service from Richland County, and plans are underway to install new sewer lines in Lower Richland. This presentation offers essential information about the Lower Richland sewer system and answers questions we've heard from residents about what the project entails and where it will provide service in the community.
Why is a sewer system needed in Lower Richland?
The Lower Richland sewer system will resolve several environmental issues in the Lower Richland community by allowing the elimination of several wastewater facilities that are having trouble meeting SCDHEC standards.
What's wrong with the wastewater facilities already being used?
If you look at this lagoon system, and you look at this Martin building that's being built, they're tying into our creek network. You're next to a park where kids play. You're next to a playground where kids play. And if you look at this building was built in the late 50s. So we need to change this technology and make sure we protect the community from this waste that's spilling into our creekway and our waterways.
Most of our facilities have had issues all along. If you look back on the monthly submittals, the discharge monitoring reports that we submit to DHEC once a month for each site, you will see that, unfortunately, we have exceeded our permit parameters each year. I've been here 10 years. Before I arrived, we had many consent orders. We have been able to maintain, operate, modify the old systems that we have to keep us in decent shape, but not good enough to appease DHEC and the limits and parameters we have in our permit. So it's been a consistent and a constant issue, not something that just started last year or year before. We've had constant issues.
What happens when the school district receives a consent order?
The consent order also included a civil penalty. I believe in this case it was in the neighborhood of $17,000. The district has been fined before as a result of consent orders. That's the way we are fined. That's the penalty. So yes, we have had penalties in the past associated with consent orders at all of the 3 sites.
What would the school district do if the sewer system were abandoned?
The district would be forced to continue to be a waste treatment operator, which we do not want to be in the waste treatment business. We're in the student academic achievement business. However, purchasing and installing 3 new facilities would be very expensive, and then we would still have the annual maintenance and operation cost in perpetuity. All of that is assuming that DHEC would allow that. Our existing permits indicate that we are operating under temporary permission until such time as a regional system can be installed. So we believe and know that the regional is the best option for us, because even if we put in a brand new system, with the way a school district operates, during the school year, we're operating 5 out of 7 days. During the summer, we're operating 4 out of 7 days. We have ups and downs. We have upsets in the facility. So even with a new system, we would still be at risk for violating whatever permit we would have at that point, which is the reason for regionalization.
In addition to the school district's wastewater systems, the Lower Richland sewer system will allow for closing of the Franklin Park Lagoon, which has also been inadequate at treating the wastewater from the nearly 60 homes it serves. These lagoons discharge into Cabin Creek, Cedar Creek, and eventually into the Congaree Swamp.
We knew at Franklin Park the developer had abandoned the lagoon sewer system. So conversations started with that, the lagoon systems here at the schools, that we had to do something to make sure we protect the community from these lagoon systems that spill into the creekway.
It's a tough thing. National parks are not islands, and it seems like you're on an island when you come to visit. You go through the entrance sign, but especially here at this park, water is the lifeblood of this park, and so In some cases, we're susceptible to things that maybe are coming in that we can't directly control or have an influence over. And so it's important for us to really work with the communities that are outside the park because they're a key part of the preservation of this park. We're finding elevated levels of E. coli in Cedar Creek, for example. There's some preliminary research that indicates that there may be other things in the water as well. And that's why, in the end, we rely on working with our partners, including some of these folks doing some of the research, but also some of our community leaders to come to a conclusion that'll benefit everybody and definitely protect the resources at Congaree National Park.
Where will the sewer lines be installed?
These lines will run from Lower Richland High School, south to Hopkins, then east to tie into the Eastover wastewater treatment plant.
Conversations took place, and it was conversations with the community while we were doing the water system, and we were discussing, possibly moving forward with the sewer. So we had these parts that we were trying to pull all together. There was a lapse of time. We had to research grant dollars, how we were going to finance it, and that took some time. And we had an opening with rural development to go after some grant dollars, plus some funding that we identified through the county. And that's the reason there's a gap between when we started the conversation and then when we started having formal presentations in the community.
Will adding sewer services lead to more commercial and residential development in Hopkins?
While residential and commercial development often follows the installation of utilities such as sewer and water, widespread development is directly at odds with Richland County's comprehensive land use plan in the Lower Richland area.
The planning department has done an excellent job of keeping the rural character and making sure we put in place those ordinances that protect the rural area.
We just adopted the update to our comprehensive plan. That's the county's long-range 20-25 year plan or vision for how we grow. And in that is the future land use element and a future land use map. Well, we had 15 overall meetings throughout the course of updating the comprehensive plan. We divided the county into 5 areas, and the entire Lower Richland area was one of those. We had 3 meetings there. We had one at the beginning, one in the middle, and kind of one at the end of the process. We heard resoundingly through a couple processes, actually, the comp plan and the Lower Richland master plan that was done a couple years ago, that there's a desire to keep Lower Richland rural. They want to maintain that character. I think they want some growth and development. They want certain services, but they want to maintain the character of their rural heritage. We heard that over and over again. And they wanted protection of water. They wanted to keep their water resources clean and usable. And what we created was a future land use category for Lower Richland, all of this green, that helps protect its rural character. It may conserve it. Some of this dark green is actually a conservation land use. So these are areas we really think you shouldn't touch, you should not grow within. And then we have these other shades of green, which are different levels of intensity or growth, all very rural though. So any decision that comes before council, say as a rezoning, they can use this information to either approve it or deny it based on whether or not it meets the character or meets the intent of the comprehensive plan, or specifically in this area meets the intent of staying rural. Envision that this were all of Lower Richland. Okay, so you've got, this is Garner's Ferry and Lower Richland Boulevard right here in the center. This yellow category is a more traditional suburban style development. Low density neighborhood development is what is envisioned here in this yellow. That's really what the yellow means. The green, the lighter shades of greens are different rural categories, rural growth. Think large farmsteads or homes on many acres. But this is actually an exceptionally highly utilized map for the planning department and for county council as they make decisions. So say somebody who owns a piece of property comes to us and wants to rezone it to something more dense or maybe commercial. We look at this map and we say, you know what, that's really out of character with what the vision is for growth in that area. We would recommend denial. Or no, that fits within what we were hoping to see in that area. It fits the vision for that part of the county. We would then recommend approval. So it is a decision-making tool.
Aren't pump stations stinky and noisy?
Sanitary sewer pump stations are found in many types of communities nationwide. Richland County currently owns and operates about 40 pump stations. Each station is secured with a locked fence, and we also lock the wet well structures that contain the water and pumps underground. Our pump stations have extensive backup and safety features to ensure minimal impact to the local community. These features include backup generators in case of power outage, backup pumps in case of a mechanical failure, and a wireless transmitter that will notify a Richland County utility employee 24 hours a day if the pump station's automated systems detect any type of problem. Pump stations typically create no noticeable odor or noise. The generators on each station perform a weekly self-inspection that will produce approximately the same amount of noise as a lawnmower. But the tests are always scheduled on weekdays between the hours of 10 a.m. and 3 p.m. to cause as little disturbance as possible. These tests last about 20 minutes. In addition to the automated systems, each station is inspected by a Richland County utility employee multiple times a week.
Will Hopkins residents be forced to use the new sewer system and pay a $4,000 tap-on fee?
The facts are, it will not cost any homeowner who signs up prior to construction. The tap fees will be waived from the home to the main line.
If your septic system can be repaired or replaced to meet DHEC standards, you will not be required to tie onto the Lower Richland sewer system. If your septic system cannot be repaired or replaced, the sewer system is available to provide residents a safe, sanitary option.
And if you look at a lot of landowners in the community, they may have lots, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 acres lots. You don't have a lot of options of relocating your septic system. If your property doesn't perk so it can drain properly, then DHEC requires you to tie onto a municipal system. If you have hundreds of acres, you may be able to realign your septic tank and your drain fields in another location of your property. But a lot of people in the community just don't have that option. This gives people another option. Again, if your septic tank is operational, you do not have to sign on.
If I can't pay the monthly bill, will the county place a lien on my home?
No. Richland County cannot take your property for failing to pay a water or sewer bill. Prior to May of 2015, the county could place liens on property for the amount of unpaid utility bills only. Due to residents' concerns, Richland County Council amended a county ordinance so liens could no longer be placed on property because of unpaid utility bills.
Has the public's concerns shaped any aspect of the sewer system?
From the feedback we gotten from the community and some of the community of the opposition side, we saw that there were gaps in our ordinances, we saw there were gaps in our processes that we needed to tighten up. And I appreciated that dialogue because it gave us an opportunity to review our overall utilities plan and make sure we plug those gaps.
We hope we've addressed your questions about the Lower Richland sewer system. If you have additional questions or concerns, please call the Richland County Utilities Department at 803-401-0050.